A hearing to discipline members of the economic freedom fighters who were involved in a scuffle in Parliament last year has got off to a slow start, it seems. 16 MPs are charged with contempt of Parliament after trying to block the Public Enterprises Minister, Pravin Gordhan, from delivering his budget vote address in July last year. Covering that story for us, parliamentary reporter Lindsay Dentlinger. Lindsay, good afternoon to you. So what's happened so far and why the delay?
Jeremy, very little happened this morning. This hearing is set down for the next couple of days. But what we heard today mostly came from the initiator who Parliament has hired to lead evidence in this inquiry. She's from the Cape Bar. None of the 16 MPs charged were present in Parliament today for the start of these proceedings. And what we've heard, Jeremy, is just a slew of legal correspondence that has been going between the EFF's legal representative and the acting secretary to Parliament. Several demands or requests, however one wants to look at it, made to Parliament, including that these EFF MPs want to be represented by a lawyer during these proceedings. But the rules of Parliament dictate that a written submission must be made in this respect. And the committee noting today that no such submission has been made to the committee. They then asked that these proceedings be delayed until tomorrow so that the lawyer who had to undergo a COVID test can come down to Cape Town and be present at these proceedings. And the EFF even saying that they will go to court to get the relief they seek if Parliament doesn't automatically grant them a right to legal representation. They don't want to have to make a formal submission. They believe they have the right to be represented. And we also heard today that they failed to meet a deadline to make written submissions to Parliament in relation to the evidence before the committee, and so very little got underway today and proceedings were adjourned after just an hour. The initiator of the inquiry saying in the interest of fairness, so that in the event it is decided that they are allowed legal representation, that a lawyer is not prejudiced in any way. But let's take a listen to some of the requests made by the EFF in writing to the acting secretary to Parliament, as read out by the initiator, Dumisa Mayosi.
They asked then that given that they were exercising their election to submit written representations, they wanted to know if the physical hearings would in any event continue. They also asked if the physical hearings do continue, notwithstanding their written representations, they wanted to know whether the attorneys and their counsel would be able to represent the affected members at the hearings. The request that was made then on that day in the letter of the 11th was to postpone these hearings indefinitely, and also given that as at that date they had not yet been furnished with the unrevised Hansard and the video footage of the incident, they then said, we're not going to be in a position to submit written representations by the expected date, which is Friday the 13th, and therefore we'd like an extension of time within which to file, and we'd like to file on the 1st of December.
So inevitably, Lindsay, we'll have more of this legal toing and froing, as you put it. The hearing's set down for the rest of the week. So what is next in the frame?
So Mbusweni Ndlozi, the EFF MP who represents the party on the committee, he raised several legal issues, taking umbrage with the fact that Parliament was not acceding to this legal representation automatically, that the letters between the EFF's lawyers and Parliament had not been placed before the committee today. It was only, as you've seen there and heard there, read out in part by the initiator in the inquiry, and he intimated, Jeremy, that tomorrow they can expect more of the same, and probably for the EFF's lawyer to make a representation in person to represent the missing MPs. But I should also point out that the chairperson of the committee, Philly Mapulani, not taking kindly to the fact that none of the charged MPs were present today. We understand that there are technicalities involved in being able to conduct a hybrid session, so it wasn't possible for the affected instructed MPs to dial in virtually, and he did indicate that he wanted to see them present for their hearing, present in Parliament. This is one of the first committees now to hold a meeting physically in Parliament since the start of the lockdown, and it was a rather empty hearing today with none of those charged MPs present.
Lindsay Dentlinger is our parliamentary reporter.